advancing. Hi, everybody. Let's take some deep breaths. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in from the infinite resources of the universe. Breathe in through the crown of your head. Breathe out through your feet. If everyone would unmute, that would be good. I mean, if everyone would mute. Whoops. Another deep breath. Crown of your head. Breathe all the way down to the soles of your feet. Now the next one, breathe in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Deep breath in through your nose. On the next breath, your eyes are closed, I hope, so you can focus on your breath. On your next deep breath, breathing in from the crown of your head, breathing all the way down to the soles of your feet through your nose. When you exhale, exhale all your air, and when you think you've totally exhaled, exhale one more time. So here we go. Cleansing breath. Cleansing breath. Okay, open your eyes and come back, and let's pray. What's wrong, Sage? What's wrong?
Too much background noise somewhere.
Yeah, everyone please mute. Okay, is that okay, Sig?
Good morning.
Okay. No? Okay. You can all hear me, right? Okay. So 3 ohms, wherever you are, we're going to do 3 ohms together. So close your eyes, take a deep breath. 3 ohms. Just pause now. Keep your eyes closed and notice the energy. We were in the same room together. We were creating harmonics that would be bouncing off the walls, which would be fun. But maybe soon. So take a deep breath and open your eyes. And let's pray in. Most amazing God, God of wonders and miracles, God of life and source of all that is good and beautiful. We give thanks this morning that your presence in each of us is enlightening our minds, opening our hearts, blessing our bodies, ministering to each of us in every needed and desired way. And so we go into this time together with a sense of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. Thank you, God. Amen. Okay, well, I won't take time to go through all of us sharing what we're grateful for, but I invite you, just just right now, in a couple of moments, think of 3 things that you're grateful for. Because the energy of gratitude is, it maximizes good energy. It's a very lifting kind of vibration. So 3 things.
Okay, I'm grateful for my kids, for my health, and for this wonderful weather lately that I've been able to get a lot of yard work done.
Great. Who is that? Jim. That was Jim. Okay, so let us, all right. Oh. There we go. 3 affirmations. Let's say them together. You can unmute and let's say them together. I am a radiating center of divine light. Second one, I am the light of God expressing. The third one, the light of God shines in every cell of my body as health and vitality. You might picture that. Use your divine imagination and picture the light of God sparkling and shining in every cell and atom of your body. Can you picture it? We're all just sparkling, twinkling lights. I read something recently that, and you probably read it too. I can't remember where I just read it, but it was something in science I was reading. It might have been the field. That's what I was reading. Anyway, scientists have determined that every human being emits light. Yeah. So we fill our body with divine light, which is the healing light of spirit. Okay. Why is that doing that? Okay, I want to. I don't know why this is not advancing. There we go. Okay, so this is the time for you guys to look at these questions, and we'll start with number 1 and share. And so when you share, you would identify yourself. Just say your name so we know who's speaking, and I know who's speaking. So what have been your proudest moments? What have been your proudest moments? And in the sharing, if you would just share one. And let's start with Billy.
My proudest moment. Oh, gosh, there's been a lot of them, but
Can you speak a little louder, Billy?
There's been a lot of them, but what really first came to mind is when I gave birth to my son. Yeah. But that's been 50 some years ago, so it's been a while. But I've had some others since then. But yeah, that was really a magical, sacred moment for me.
I understand. Yeah, all of us mothers probably get that one.
Yeah.
Who else? The proudest moment.
Maria.
Hi, Maria.
Hi. My proudest moment was when I purchased my first home as a single mom, and back in that time, it was very hard for a single mom to purchase a home. Even people tried talking me out of it. So, and I conquered it.
You did. What a big thing. Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay.
Who else? Don't be shy. Susie? Unmute yourself, Suze. Can't hear you. I can't hear you. Unmute yourself.
I can see her mouth moving.
Figure it out? Nope, can't hear. I can't hear you. Let me go on and then we'll come back, Susie.
You can see right here. If you have over it, you can unmute it for her.
There, you got to go up
There
here.
you go. I got it. Go ahead, Susie.
Okay, I didn't know where it was. And anyway, I've had many of them, but I guess my most recent was, when the heck was it? A few months ago when I won a ribbon and an award for my painting, best in show and things. So I was very proud and happy of that.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it confirmed that, I am good. So that was good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Your gift was recognized. Thanks. Thank you, Susie.
Thank you.
Who else? Come on, y'all. All right, then. Let's go to number 2 then and see if that stirs your imagination.
Okay, I'll give you a proud moment.
Pardon?
My proudest moment was, one of them was earning my wings in the Air Force to fly.
Oh, great.
Took a long time.
Jim. Jim earned his wings in where, Jim?
It went in the Air Force.
Great, great. Big deal. You had to do a lot of solo flying, right? Yeah. Anybody else on a proud moment before we go to number 2?
Do I dare?
Say who you are.
This is Howard Fisher. Do I dare tell you my most recent proud moment?
Well, I hope you will dare, and I'm sure it is.
I wrote a poem for my wife.
Oh,
That is so sweet.
did you memorize it?
I don't know. I'll try to.
Do you want
I'll try to tell you some of it.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Roses are red, violets are blue. What more could heaven offer? I already have you.
Oh,
You're beautiful to look at, wonderful to touch. With kisses so sweet, I met when we meet. If I was given one wish, I know what I'd do. I'd ask for 58 more years and spend them with you.
oh.
There is but one thing greater than infinity, I know. That's my love for you. I marvel as it grows. You're my rose, beautiful to look at, wonderful to smell. But beware of the thorns, they hurt like hell.
And I,
Oh, thank you, Jan. Anybody else?
This is Nancy Lyersoff. I think my proudest moment was when we adopted my daughter, Amy, back in 1978.
Who's that speaking?
Nancy Lyersoff.
Oh, hi, Nancy. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Eileen, what about you?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
My proudest moment was when I had a dream that I was supposed to move the light with the Phillips, which is Judy's last name. And so I went home and quit my job and moved to Arizona. So
Wow.
the proud moment of listening to my inner knowing and going with it, which my family.
Yeah, for sure. That was
crazy.
woo. Yeah, when you know, huh?
Yes.
Oh, but acting on what you know, that takes a lot of faith, a lot of courage. Great. Hey, Kate. Hi, Kate. A proud woman, Kate.
Lots of them, lots and lots and lots of them. I'm trying to think of more recent ones. So I think the inner work that I've been doing, spiritual stuff, some of the maybe destructive kind of thinking that didn't allow you to grow and to be more value to the family, to the community. Yeah, I've enjoyed that journey, and I think I've made a lot of progress in that area. And I'm proud. I'm proud because I've gone places where nobody else around me has dared to do it.
Oh, how fabulous.
Yeah.
And I know what a committed spiritual seeker you are.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Thank you. How about my crack admin?
What I didn't hear what you said, Sue.
She's asking me. I guess my proudest, I don't know, this is one that comes to mind. I've mentioned before in class that I was in an abusive relationship, and I was transferred to, I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, what's the best way to get out of this? And the answer came in, I got transferred, my job transferred me to DC. And so I told the guy who was battering me, let me go get settled and then you can follow me. But once I got there, I didn't tell him where I was. And, he tracked me down and I stood up to him, and that took a lot of courage. I talked to an attorney and she told me what to say to him. And so the next time he contacted me, I told him what the attorney told me to say to him, which was he would be breaking federal law if he crossed state lines to come and get me. And he didn't. I stood up to him and he backed down. And so I was pretty proud about that.
Great.
Good.
Courageous, courageous. Good job. Okay, I haven't heard from everybody, but I want to move to question 2. I hope each of you have thought of something that you're proud of. And so number 2 invites you to think about what part did intention play in getting you to the proud moment you thought of? What part did intention play? So this is kind of a focus on the power of intention.
Yeah.
Would you like to define intention as the way you intend it here?
Yeah.
Before we start?
I'm sorry, Jim, would you say that again? I didn't hear you correctly.
How about providing a definition of intention as you mean it here?
Well, here, intention is, let me think if I can articulate this simply. It is that, spiritually speaking, the realization, we call it, it's like the final step in healing. It's the final step in moving forward when you have done your due diligence, whatever it might be. In Kathy's case, for example, it was talking to an attorney to gain strength, to gain clarity, to gain power. It is what we do to ignite the spiritual power in us such that we move forward with clarity, focus, ease, and grace. In other words, there may be lots of obstacles to it, like getting your wings. You have to pass a lot of tests to do that. That's not stating it very simply, but it is to have done what is necessary to ignite sufficient power to move in the direction of your heart's desire or your dream. That's how I would put it.
I would think it would be the initial step I intend to do something, and here's what I'm going to use: the power, the affirmation, the prayer, the actions, and all that to proceed.
Well, you know, I can have a dream, but it's meaningless unless I do something about it. And that's why the steps in
Right. But it's the
are
initial
essential.
step.
The initial, you know, the initial thing is a dream or a desire.
No, you'll always have dreams and desires, but until you want to do something about them, nothing is going to happen.
Exactly.
The intention is the start of that wanting to do something about it.
Exactly. And wanting to do something isn't doing it. It's just wanting to do it.
Right.
No, the intention to do it. In other words, you've made that commitment to do it.
Maybe, maybe. If you say so.
That's what I've always been taught in Unity.
If you say so. What you believe is your reality.
Mm-mm. I have an example.
Yeah.
This is Billy.
Yeah.
And this is way pre-Unity. So, and I didn't even know what it was called then, but 34 years ago, coming up in June, I wanted a different kind of life. I decided that my life was not I was not living the life I wanted to live. And so I quit drinking. And I mean, and I didn't know, all I did was ask for help, and I didn't know how that was going to all play out or anything, but I ended up getting sober. So I guess I didn't even know it was an intention, but I do now, that the intention was to live a different life than I was living.
Well, and what came before that realization?
Well, total degradation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's like due diligence, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so it got to be that there was really kind of no more choices, you know, die or get sober. So I got sober. And
many people don't, right? Many people choose death
don't.
over sobriety.
So, but I didn't know any of this Unity stuff at that point, you know, but that I did want a different kind of life. And I guess that was my intention, that I didn't want to live the life I was living. So.
And look and see, and all of us look and see. Is it true that when you set that intention to get sober, you had all the power necessary to go to your first meeting and not pick up a drink?
Right.
Yeah.
And it just every day got better, you know, as I followed the steps and did what I was, and that's of course what eventually led me to Unity too. So yeah, life is good.
Life is good. Thank you for sharing that. And so I hope that all of you who were listening to Jim and Billy kind of followed along with your own experience of, let's say, thinking about your proudest moments. You know, one of my proudest was to graduate with honors, graduate from Michigan State with honors. And I mean, I worked doggone hard to do that too. So was it my intention to, well, I won't even go there. But anyway, when I think about that proudest moment, I think about all the steps it took to get there. And so the intention to excel or to do well, to give it my best shot, probably was the intention. So as you look at your proud moment and the intention that was behind that proud moment that got you to it is what I wanted you to consider. Because the same thing that was true then is true now for anything that you and I want. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. So let's take a look at number three. What is the purpose of affirmations? There are two questions there actually. What is the purpose of affirmations and how do they influence matter and reality?
Right thinking, I think.
This is Kate.
Kate, yeah. For me, affirmations are, it kind of sets the tone. It's gets you in the mood of the right direction, right thinking.
Great. And how do your affirmations influence matter and reality?
You put it out there, it goes into the universe.
Right.
Say that again, Maria.
Oh, you heard me? I thought I was on mute. I'm sorry. An affirmation to me is when you voice it, you put it out into the universe. And to me, that creates that you're wishing for. That's the way I look at it.
And how does your affirmation influence matter?
It kind of generates it for me. It puts it into motion. I hear it when I say an affirmation. I kind of go with it, and I feel the power that it gives me to follow it. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but that's the best way I can describe it for myself.
Good, thank you. And Kate, I don't think you were finished. What else did you want to say about it?
No, I was just what Maria had said. It gives direction for me. It points you on the right path.
Yeah. Who else? Dave, what do you think? Unmute yourself. Unmute. Unmute yourself. Huh? Did I lose you? Okay.
Who are you talking to?
While Sig is figuring it out, who else? Purpose of affirmations and how they influence matter.
I think that I agree with what Kate and Maria were saying. I think also the purpose of affirmation is it helps me sort out what's really important. This isn't answering the question about influencing matter, but the affirmations help me to focus on what's important to me and just keep my attention on that.
Great, thank you. Anybody else on any of those two questions? Purpose of affirmations and how they influence matter and reality.
This is Eileen. I've always been taught that thought is manifestation. So with my affirmations and my words, bringing those thoughts forward, that's how I create what I want.
Exactly. Great. So we're talking about atomic healing here, right? Mm-hmm. Healing at the atomic level, healing anything in our bodies, in our consciousness, or our experience for that matter, that needs healing, that is not aligned with capital T truth. So if we say affirmations create your reality, I think that's what you were saying, Eileen. I think everyone was really talking about it very clearly, that affirmations condition our consciousness. And so they are the partner or the twin of denials. And so the denial and affirmation are part of our tools for transforming our consciousness and our body, the atoms of our body, which is what Fillmore said. So I picked out a couple of quotes from her book, How to Let God Help You. So let me share those with you, and if you have any comments about them, say so. The real purpose of your life is to express the creation of God, to unfold the many departments of your mind which God has planned for you, and which will enable you to know and to do His will. When you know that there is nothing for you to worry about or to fear, you may then relax and feel happy. When you know that living as God has planned it here and now is beautiful, and that you can know just what God's plans are for you, you will be really interested in living, won't you?
Yes.
Won't you? And then, so this explains affirmations or describes affirmations in a way. She says, and this is the chapter on the health channel. Clothe your mind with garments of truth, capital T truth, and let your thoughts yield to you the wealth of their spiritual power. Think from the truth standpoint when you think about the outer material world. It is by your spiritual thinking that you build up your spiritual consciousness, which is what affirmations do, right? They build a spiritual consciousness and they build spiritual power. What we say no to cleanses the consciousness or removes, or let's say erases little by little from our consciousness, and affirmations build a consciousness, a kind of consciousness. So how do they influence matter? They shape and form, as Fillmore said about faith. Faith shapes and forms substance or matter. And so they begin to create our reality. Any comments, questions? No? Did you all have your coffee? I've got mine right here. Okay. Nancy, I haven't heard from you this morning. What's up? Unmute yourself. Unmute.
I'm listening and agreeing with everything that's been said so far.
Okay, great. Anything else you want to add to that? Your own richness?
No, I've been listening to Wayne Dyer's meditation, I Am That I Am, before I go to sleep at night.
Oh, great.
And the mantras and the affirmations, I see them as being very similar. And that's been very helpful to me.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay. Are we ready to move on, or any other comments on any of these three? All right then. Whoops. Let me move you over. Okay, so this is from the book, The Field, by Lynne McTaggard. And the quantum field is what we're talking about here, the field of all possibility, the field of substance, which God is, the vibration of all possibility. So she says the quantum field holds us all together. In other words, this is the way Eric Butterworth termed it. We are like a wave in the ocean of God. So a quantum field holds us all together. All the information from the cosmos flows through our pores at every moment. Woo! What do you think about that? Anybody?
Very powerful thought.
Say that again, Sig?
Very powerful thought.
Oh, thank you. Anything else about that, Sig? Nope. Kate? Kate, you're thinking. Joe, any comment? Joe?
I don't think you can hear me.
I can hear you now.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey.
Great to hear you. Great to hear you. You want to comment on the quantum field?
I just, well, I've always felt that we are all one, and that just brings it together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know how many of you know this, but Joe, can I say, Joe, what your great passion is?
You know, you have this echo. It's hard to understand you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see. I don't know what to do about that.
I don't know.
Can I tell the folks what your great passion is?
Did I what?
Your passion. Okay, I'm not going to get any permission. I can see that. So everyone, Joe has a passion for astrology.
Oh.
And Joe, can you comment on astrology being related to the quantum field? No. I guess she can't hear me. Okay, let's go on then. Any
I
comments
think everybody's
on?
having a hard time hearing you. You're in a room that echoes something.
Let's see, I don't know what to do. Maybe Kathy, is there a microphone I can use?
You're
It might be too close to the mic, or the microphone might be up. If they're getting an echo, it may be because you're too close.
The room's acoustics create an echo.
Say that again?
The room's acoustics create an echo.
Is there anything we can do?
There are several people who are not muted that also contribute to that.
Yes.
Oh, we need to have everyone muted. Would you please check your computer to make sure, or your monitor, and look at your name and make sure you're muted?
I'm having trouble muting. This is Nancy.
I'll mute you. Okay, I think everyone's muted now, right, Kathy? Okay, all right. So is it better now hearing me? Am I not so much an echo? Better, a little better? Okay. Jim, is it better? Any better, Jim?
So give a thumbs up or something.
Not really. It's the acoustics in the room you're at.
Is it any better now? No, I'm sorry. So it means you need to talk more, y'all.
Sherry, you sound fine in my hearing you here. So maybe it's not everybody, just some people.
Okay, all right.
Well, what it is you don't have any padding, any fabric to absorb the sound, and it's bouncing off your smooth walls.
Our quantum field.
Maybe next week, I'll bring in a
Rick says our quantum field is better here. I don't have a problem.
And this is Billy. I don't have a problem either. You sound fine.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Sharon, this is Howard. Can you open the door to your room?
It is open.
They're both open.
Okay.
The doors are open. The doors of my mind, my heart, and my room are all open.
All right.
Poor Steve, she's having trouble. So are there any other comments about the quantum field? Because this book and this statement and quantum physicists have given a scientific account for what theologians have always said. I mean, what unity theology has always said, and that is that God is not anthropomorphic, not a being somewhere out there. God is the infinite field of all possibility. I mean, that's one way that unity would speak to God or of God. And so the quantum physicists say that the observer, which would be you and I, the observer alters the activity of the quanta, the quarks, the atoms, the molecules.
Really?
So affirmations are very important and useful. Can you see that?
Yes.
So you and I, Jesus said, judge not that you not be judged. In other words, what goes around comes around. You're going to get back what you put out. And he said, don't judge. Jesus said, don't judge. All spiritual teachers, if you look at Paramahansa Yogananda, if you look at Thich Nhat Hanh, if you look at some of the folks that we consider spiritual masters, they all say the same thing. Don't judge. Don't make something bad. In other words, watch your thinking, because our thinking changes the quantum field. It alters substance, which is important to know when it comes to healing, right? Which is, when I think about Myrtle Fillmore and her healing, she spoke to the cells and atoms of her being words of love, gratitude, asking for forgiveness, cells and atoms of my body. Forgive me for any negative thought I've had about you. Forgive me for not appreciating you. So when it comes to atomic healing, it's important how we think and how we talk to ourselves and about ourselves. Any comments or questions there? Hey, Rick, I see you, Rick. Where are you?
He's right here.
I'm here.
He's in the room.
Oh, Elvis is in the room. Praise God.
How come Howard's sleeping?
There's Howard.
He's sleeping. Oh, no, he's not.
Rich. So, Sig, have you unmuted yourself?
Yeah,
There you go.
I find that very, very deep and inspires me to work on that.
Yeah. Great. Thanks.
Really, yes.
Thank you. Anybody else? Reverend Martini, you better check in.
All right, I'm here. I guess I really like that quote. Thank you for putting it on there. And the part that really drew my attention in light of my lesson on Sunday was at every moment.
You got what?
At every moment, if we go back to that, about staying in the moment, and just allowing that flow. So I really like that quote. Thank you.
It was a great talk on Sunday, Billy.
Thank you.
Yes.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else on the quantum field? And the cosmos, imagine that the cosmos flowing through the pores of our body at every moment. Wow. So that's why good breathing is important too. Breathing the light of God into every cell and atom of our being. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. Okay.
This is Kathy.
Do you have comments, or I'm going to move on?
I have one more comment on there.
Yeah.
It strikes me that we have to keep in mind that this is all, that the cosmos are good, that's positive flowing through us. Because some people have a not such a great belief in the goodness of the of the universe. And I think that would be dangerous to have that idea, to hold this idea if you didn't think that it was a good, positive flow from the cosmos or through with the cosmos.
Right. Thank you for that. It's an important, a very important point, because we say in unity, right, that God is the creative principle of absolute good. That's the quantum field. What we say in unity, and I love this, it made such a difference in my life when I first heard it. Sin is the absence of the awareness of God, or the goodness of God. It's the absence of the awareness. Evil is the absence of the awareness of God and good. Okay, any other comment on this? No. All right, let's see, the fundamental starting points. I thought it would be good to review this, especially given what we were just talking about and what you said, Kathy, that it's important to note that when we talk about the cosmos or the quantum field, we have to remember and interpenetrate the quantum field with the belief in the absolute goodness of God. Our experience of that absolute goodness is relative goodness, right? I mean, we as human beings, we're a polarized expression of the goodness of God. Okay, so let's just do a little review here of the fundamental starting points, or the 5 basic principles. We did this, I think, in our first session, but I wanted to review it because when we talk about atomic healing, it's important to keep these things in mind. So the first principle is, I just said it, okay, Billy.
God is absolute good.
There, Maria, all right. God is what, Maria?
Absolute good.
Yes. God is the creative energy of absolute good. What's number 2?
You want me to say that too?
Go ahead, go for it.
God is everywhere present.
Well, yes, and in number 2, we get a little more, we get specific with that and say, I am an individualized expression of the creative principle of absolute good, and so is everybody else.
Okay.
So that's how forgiveness can work, right? Because when I can see or affirm anyway and call forth the Christ in other people, it softens my own heart to forgive. That's number 2. What's number 3, Maria?
Our thoughts, our minds. We have to be mindful of what we think.
Yes, because
Creates our reality.
Maya's here now. Maya, what'd you say?
It creates, our thoughts create our reality.
Our thoughts create our reality. What I think and what I say creates my reality, what's so for me. That's number 3. Number 4 is?
Prayer.
Number 4. The tools of transformation are? Oh, you guys. I mean girls and guys.
Prayer and meditation.
Jim, what'd you say? I can't hear you. Is that you, Jim?
Prayer and meditation.
Yes. Yes. Excellent. And I include 2 others in that. Unity doesn't so much, but I do, because without these tools, in the moment of temptation, it's too easy to succumb. So what are the tools I'm talking about?
Affirmation and denial. And prayer and meditation.
Yes, denial and affirmation are the tools along with prayer and meditation. Denial and affirmation are the tools with which we say no to a thought that's gonna not be good for our health. And an affirmation fills in the gap that's created by the denial. So when we deny something, we've just erased it from our mind. If we don't have an affirmation or a positive thought or refocus quickly, that same negative or something like it will come back to fill the vacuum, because nature abhors a vacuum. A vacuum.
No.
So, and number 5 is?
Action.
Yeah. Yes. Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that ring. And so it's all fine and good to know these 5 principles, but unless we can apply them, as Billy would say, in our now moment experience, they don't do us any good. Any comments there? No. Okay, number 2, what does this, the 5 principles, what does this say to you about the possibility of health?
This is Eileen. I would say that it goes back to the saying of faith without works is dead. So even though you just think about it, you've got to apply those things and put them into action into your life. Especially if you want to heal yourself, you've got to use those principles that you know to be true to bring that health to your body.
Exactly. What Billy and I would say is, if I want to maintain a healthy mind, body, and spirit, I do not pick up the first drink. My health is dependent upon not picking up that first drink. And so I must deny any temptation and say yes to health. Or pick your own circumstance, right? Pick your own circumstance. I think about, in Lent, I gave sugar up for Lent. Oh man, I was tempted every day. I would rejoice on Sundays because that wasn't Lent, and I had cookies and ice cream. But the rest of the time, my health and well-being meant I had to believe I could do it, know that the power was in me, and say no to, I know that cookie smells good, but I'm not eating it. That applies to anything around our health. When I work out at a gym, I lift weights, I run, I want to keep the health of every cell and atom of my body. And so when I'm tempted to, like this morning, I thought, I don't think I'm going to go for a run today. I'm going to sit and have my coffee. That's what I'm going to do. And look at my email. Nevertheless, I recalled how important health is to me of my body. So I got my running clothes on and my gym shoes and I went out for a run. We've got to apply the 5 principles in all of our affairs. Okay, sorry I went on and on about that. Anyone else want to comment or give an example? It helps us all when you guys share, Marie, are you getting ready to say something?
No, I'm thinking, but I'm not.
Okay, all right. Anybody else getting ready to say something? Okay. And where's the starting point for all of this? We've been saying it all morning. Starting point is?
I don't know if this is Kathy. I don't know if it's the right answer, but for me, the starting point is faith, because I have to have faith in the universe and the goodness of it, and the fact that I am one with that goodness, and that I have power, and that when I put things to action and believe in the goodness and the power, that the highest and the best will happen.
Thank you. Great. Anybody else?
This is Nancy. I think intention, to put it into practice and to put your thoughts into action is really a starting point.
Great. Thank you. Great. Anybody else? Contribute to the community soup? We have broccoli and carrots. No. Okay then. Let me get, hang on a minute. Okay, here's another quote, and this is from Christian Healing.
During the science of being.
The student in the science of being should start all investigations and mental activities from the one mind foundation, i.e. starting point. They are goodness everlasting and joy beyond expression, and a perfect union between your mind and this perfect mind. What do you think about that one? Hello, hello. Are you thinking?
This is Billy. To simplify it, I guess it's like our faith on Sunday morning, right? That when we affirm that there is only one presence and one power in our lives, God the good, omnipotent, makes it simpler than than this quote, I think.
Yeah. Fillmore was a great student of science, wasn't he? He was well-read and well-traveled in that arena, and so he was the mind. Myrtle was the heart, and so Charles was always investigating. You know, I can tell if you're an investigative thinker by your handwriting. Show me your handwriting, and I'll tell you if you are an investigative, analytical thinking. Investigative thinkers typically want to get to the bottom line quick. Not so interested in all the details that got them there. They just want to know the bottom line. Anyway, I digress, sorry. So don't you though love the idea of the one, in the one mind, it's all goodness and joy beyond what we can articulate. Have you ever felt that way? Like, there just aren't words to express all the joy I'm feeling?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Maya?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When everybody was talking about, you know, you gave the example of trying to give up stuff. I gave up so many things along the way, but the thing that kept me going was that everything that I struggled to give up, first of all, included help from lots of people, including God and programs and so on. But at the end of every one of those things, there was a place inside of myself that became available to me that wasn't there before. So when I gave up drinking, there was something available to me, insights, energy, dreams, hopes that there had never been room for before. And everything that I struggled to give up had that exact same thing. I was stunned when I look back and I thought, I gave up sugar and I gave up caffeine, and you know, the list went on and on and on, but with each one of those things, I became more available to me and closer to God.
Great. I hope you all heard Maya. Well said, well said. Any other comments about this particular quote or anything about it?
This is Howard. I think, to me, the key to the quote is the union between our mind and the perfect mind, the cosmic mind, this mind that surrounds us or flows through our pores, if we don't work to make that connection, then the expressions of joy and good are missed by us. So to me, it says that our effort ought to be pay attention to this other source of knowledge, and we'll live a better life.
Absolutely true. Good point. At least here's how I heard it. It's that it takes a commitment to spiritual growth and spiritual practice to experience this kind of joy and goodness.
Yeah, because before God, before the spiritual part, I just saw each of these things as deprivation. I had to suffer without the things that I thought I had to have. I had to suffer my way through wanting alcohol or wanting sugar or whatever. And then it became this joy. It was me against that, but I felt like I had this powerful, I don't know, cheerleading squad behind me, you know, God and people in program and so on.
Right.
Yeah, it's changed. So it got reframed into, you know, I'm unstoppable. I'm unstoppable.
Great, great. Okay, let's go on. Whoops, let me. Okay, here's another fundamental thought. Again, from Christian healing. God mind is thinking in you. It is pushing your mind to grasp true ideas and carry them into expression. What do you think about that? What's your experience of that, for example? Unmute, say.
I just said, say it again.
Oh, want me to read it again?
Yes, please.
Okay. God mind is thinking in you. It is pushing your mind to grasp true ideas and carry them into expression. So my question is, what do you think about that? Can you recall an experience where you felt that you know someone was pushing on your mind to do something?
Yeah, I have a story about that.
Let me see what they're saying here. Anybody out there in the quantum field? No.
This is Howard again, Sharon.
Hey, Howard.
I think this is trying to say, listen, somebody's trying to tell you something, and I find it over and over and over again happening in my life. Like the other day, I went to get a blood draw, and I just didn't feel comfortable about it. I walked into the blood where you draw blood, and they said, oh, you can't come in here. This is COVID-19 patients only. And I said, somebody's trying to tell me something. So I turned around and went home and looked at my schedule, and I was off by about 10 days.
Oh.
So all I'm saying is, listen to what's being said to you. Maybe there's a reason why, you know, this message comes through.
Thank you, Howard. Yes. Emily Cady, and she is one of our, stellar icon unity writers. I said this and I loved it because, I don't know, did you guys ever challenge your desires? I mean, I have a desire and then I go, oh no, that's not for me. Oh no, I don't have enough time, enough money, enough whatever it takes. And when I read this in Emily Cady's book, Lessons in Truth, by the way, desire is God tapping at the door of your heart, seeking to give you something. Desire. The job, our job is to make sure the lens of our mind is not foggy or fogged up. so we can discern clearly what God, like Howard was saying, what God is trying to have us do. Comments? No comments?
That's an interesting thought. It explains in a lot of ways things I have attempted to start and given excuses not to do.
Yes, our humanness getting in the way again.
Yeah.
Anybody else? All right. Now you get another quote. The perfect idea, this is a fundamental again, fundamental idea. The perfect idea of God being is your true self. That's our second basic principle. God mind is constantly seeking to release its perfection in you. How about that? How about that? It kind of follows from the quote just above it. This is from Christian Healing also, by the way. So God mind is constantly seeking to release its perfection in you. How do we know what God mind is trying to release in us? How do you know? Look at your own life. How do you know?
This is Eileen. I think that I know when I feel a good feeling inside. In other words, if I think about something and all of a sudden I don't feel good, you know, I immediately know that that's not right for me. I need to listen and be sure inside that that's what it is I'm supposed to do.
Great, thank you. Who else?
For me, often it was after the fact that I could see the hand of God, that God was there pushing me in a direction. But as I started to have more of those experiences, I also started to recognize quicker. And gradually I began to sense a feeling inside that this was the right thing to do. And eventually reached the place where I found myself automatically doing something and being in the midst of it before I really could fully embrace that this was God's will.
Yeah.
But that's what happened slowly, you know, in stages.
Great, thanks, Maya.
You were cooking so
Well,
it really stinks.
think of an example of God mind seeking to release its perfection in and through you. No? How do you know? How do you know it's God? In other words, how do you know divine guidance?
This is Billy. Long time ago, when my very first sponsor in AA, we were talking about the will of God, and I said, well, how do I know if it's my will or God's will? And she said, if it feels yucky in your tummy, it's your will. If it feels good in your heart, it's God's will. And so that served me pretty well, you know. Sometimes over the years I've had to, when the tummy doesn't feel too good, though, I have to go, is this fear, you know, or is it really, am I exerting my will? But most of the time when I feel good about something and feel comfortable going forward, it really is the will of God, because that's only good.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? Comments? How do you know God's will? I mean, how do you know it's God seeking to be expressed through, in and through you? No? Well, Meister Eckhart said, and Jesus said, joy, Eckhart said, joy is the surest sign of the presence of God, which is why Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss. Jesus said, I came that you may have joy, and that my joy may be full in you. So that full expression of joy, the experience of joy. Now, I'm gonna flip the coin a little bit, or look at another coin maybe, that's a better metaphor. And that is, some time ago, years ago, I came to the realization that I was being stopped by my fears. I mean, like free-floating fears. And so I took certain jobs to get over my fears. You know, I had that realization, and I don't know that I even had a relationship with a God of my understanding then that I do now. But I knew that I didn't want to make decisions based on fear anymore, which I was doing. You know, I was, withdrawing from things, and I knew, I came to that realization, that moment of clarity. And I said, I don't want this anymore. And so I deliberately did things that I was scared silly about. I took jobs that scared me, like sales jobs, asking people to buy what I'm selling. Woo! I jumped out of an airplane because I wanted to get over fear. I bungee jumped because I wanted to get over fear. I skied down an ice slope because I wanted to get over fear. So it didn't bring me joy, as you were saying, Maya, until after I did it. But I think, and as you were saying, I love what you said, Maya, it opened up. Once I did those things with the intention to be free of fear, a whole new world, a whole new dimension of joy and peace opened up to me. It was there all the time. You see what I'm saying? It was there all the time. God is in us all the time, everywhere. But we have to open the gate, so to speak. And fear is one of those gates that has to be open. False evidence appearing real. Comments? Questions?
Well, in the matter of dealing with fear, this COVID-19 is a real big fear. And some fears we need to pay attention to.
Well,
in order to keep ourselves safe.
Can you reframe that from a spiritual standpoint?
I feel I have been given the I won't say command, I won't say orders, but I've been given the knowledge that I need to protect myself.
There you go. I'm using my divine understanding right now.
Right.
To make good decisions about my health.
Correct.
And not put myself in harm's way.
Right.
Yeah. But so we can, when you say the word fear, do you feel a lot of good energy?
From the word fear?
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
No. But when you say the word divine wisdom, what's your energy like?
Well, that boosts it up way up there.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I need to rephrase some of my thinking and change it from fear to divine wisdom.
Yes, and divine understanding. You know, divine understanding says, I'm not putting myself in harm's way by whatever.
Okay, well, I can work on that one.
Anybody else commenting on anything so far? Okay, then let me ask you this. I want to pause for a minute here and have you reflect on everything that's been said so far today. And what is perhaps the most useful, the most helpful? You can frame it like, what's my takeaway for today? And if you would please share, I'd love to hear from everybody, so we can all help one another, be an energizer for one another.
I think the reframing comment that you just made was the most helpful thing for today. Because oftentimes I will think in a negative way and I just need to reframe it.
Thanks, great. Great.
Let's see that. So I can talk?
You can.
This is Susan. I guess I was going to say the same thing because I'm going to take that word fear and use divine wisdom, and it's going to make a big difference. Thank you.
And this is Howard. What I take from the session, and I constantly keep getting exposed to the same thought, that this cosmic God mind, if you will, is always present and always there for us to reach in and benefit from. And we just have to listen and, you know, in effect, do something with it.
Thank you, great. Who else? Eileen, I'm looking at you, what?
I was trying to get Judy to say something. I'm always trying to get Judy to say something, but it takes her 10 minutes to figure out what she's going to say, and by then we're on to the next subject. So I'm just trying to prompt her to say something here.
I'm saying something.
Come on, you know something.
So what was most helpful for you today?
I think that in doing my artwork, I find myself, when I meet a challenge, that I'm trying to, or what happens is, I go back through old patterns. And when I get frustrated with that, it seems like if I just let that go, then the energy shifts and I allow what God wants me to do. And all of a sudden the problem is resolved. And if I can just keep that in mind, to get myself out of the way once in a while, that I'd be better off.
Great. So I was just reminded of, there's a little booklet in Unity called The Mental Equivalent. Billy, I know you've seen that, right? The Mental Equivalent by Emmett Fox. And you were speaking to that, Judy. It's, you know, when you come up against a challenge, a problem, let's say we label it a problem, you could label it a fear too. When you come up against that, you let it go and refocus. You refocus. So the mental equivalent is, let's see, if I want perfect health, what must I hold in my mind to have perfect health? If I want a harmonious relationship, what kind of mind must I have to create a harmonious relationship? In other words, it's easier said than done, of course, but you know, it's refocusing the mind. And it's what Billy was talking about Sunday, to stay acutely aware in the now moment. So I realize what I'm thinking and it's not helpful, so I'm not going to think it. Save, were you going to speak?
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, do we always have to accept what is and move from there? I'm not really sure that's always wise. We can't change anything if we just accept. Right?
I love that you brought that up. What do you say, Billy?
I love that too, because I have a saying, it is what it is until it isn't. So, you know, which puts it back on me. It is what it is until it isn't. Every moment I get to choose what it is. So I probably I have to keep things awful simple. I really do. And that's, but I do realize that everything is in divine order, because nothing but divine order, right? So it is what it is until it isn't. That's it. My words of wisdom for today.
Well, you know, I love, I'll tell you what, unity has helped me understand the Bible and the sayings of Jesus. So we're talking about acceptance here, and I'm so glad you brought that up. Was it Yoda who said, resistance is?
Futile.
Futile. If I'm not accepting it, I'm resisting it. And the more I resist it, the more of it I get. So the question, what about accepting? Do we have to accept everything? It's antithetical and counterintuitive, but the answer is yes. We have to accept everything, because until we say, Jesus said, agree quickly with your adversary. Agree. He didn't say fight your adversary and run the other way. He said, agree quickly with your adversary. And if you remember his 3 temptations before he began his public ministry, the devil was tempting him. Negativity, or the absence of the awareness of God, was tempting him on all counts that human beings are tempted. Pride, greed, what's the third one? I don't know why that one's escaping me right now. But at any rate, in scripture, it does not read, Jesus punched the devil in the nose. It does not read, Jesus pulled out his pitchfork. It does not read, Jesus practiced his judo moves. He simply spoke the truth in the face of temptation. Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. And some other truth statements. So, and in Alcoholics Anonymous, I carry this in my my daytime. Acceptance is the answer to all of my problems today. When I do not accept something, I can find no serenity. And until I accept things as being exactly the way they're supposed to be, I can find no peace. I need to understand that absolutely everything in God's world is no accident. So use it or fight it. Take your pick.
I'm trying.
I'm sorry? What'd you say?
I said, I'm trying.
I know. Well, you know, that's one of the hardest things in the world, to reconcile, even to reconcile with something that we would call evil, right? Mm-hmm. To reconcile with some of the anomalies in a human life. You know, why are people born blind? You know, why is there war and people come back crazy and amputated? Why? We can fight that until doomsday. But until we say, how can I use this for good? God meant it, you meant it for evil, Joseph said. You meant it for evil, God meant it for good. Okay.
Are we back? This is Nancy. Are we back to reframing then?
Could be. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm trying to reconcile the reframing with the accepting.
Well, when we, all right, think of an example in your own life. If you were to accept it, look and see, does that open the door to reframing it? How might I use this for good?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Okay.
So accept and then reframe.
Yeah. 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 In my marriage, I had to say, if he is always as angry for the rest of his days, if he never changes, I wanted him to change. If he never changes, can I live with this? And I had to say no.
Mm-hmm.
I had to accept. I had to accept. This is the way it is. Until I could accept it, while I was fighting, in other words, while I was wanting him to change, or I'm trying to change me all the time, until I could accept him just the way he was, I could not make a wise choice for myself. Okay. Well, I'm excited. Are you? Am I the only one excited?
Oh, I'm excited.
Well, I just think everything that you all have shared has been very rich and enriching. You know, the questions, the comments, very enriching. So we haven't all had a chance to say what your takeaway is for today, but I hope you all have something. Is there any other comment before I say toodaloo? Billy? Is that Ralph over there? I thought maybe he snuck up on you.
I had to look to see if he did sneak up on me, but no, he didn't.
Well, thank you all for being here today. I really am grateful. We have one more class or one more session next week. I have a question for you. Does anybody have any comments or suggestions about a next session to do? I mean, a different topic, perhaps. Anything you want to explore together?
I
You have
love,
to unmute.
I think I did.
Oh.
What, Kate?
I love anything of Eric Butterfield's.
Eric Butterworth, okay.
Yeah, Butterworth. Is that,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, spiritual economics.
All of those. And I haven't read all of his stuff. I've read a couple things, but I just can't get enough. I think for me, it feeds what I'm needing at this time.
Yeah, it's very high truth. I mean, it's one line after another of capital T truths, just about.
Yeah.
Okay, let me look at that. Let me look at his materials and see what maybe we want to do. That'll be in June. I'm going to do a Spanish class.
You are?
For those of you who would like to learn some Spanish.
Oh.
I'm going to do a conversational Spanish class in June.
On Zoom?
On Zoom, yeah. So, vamos a hablar en español, aprendiendo unas cosas para hablar en el mundo con todos que hablan español.
No habla
¿Bien?
español.
Okay, well, so stand by. I think I want to continue doing the Wednesday thing. So I was thinking maybe I'd do Spanish on a different day for those who want to learn a little Spanish, and then do a spiritual class on Wednesdays like we have been doing. Okay, I'm going to give you, we're going to have a closing prayer now. Does anyone feel inspired to say it? We have a few chaplains online here. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Kate. No? Kate Kempa. I can't hear you.
I have to be prepared. You know that.
Well, you're,
Before I make my prayer chaplain, do you know that when I make my prayer chaplain calls, I have to spend the day centered in that space and create my prayers or whatever, and then I'm good to go. I'm not spontaneous like you are. I wish I was.
well, you will be. You will be.
Yeah, I know I will. Eventually, that's my
I
deepest.
promise. I promise.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a chaplain, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
Oh, great. Thank you, Eileen.
Beloved Mother, Father God, who is within us all, we're so grateful for this wonderful time that we've had with each other, for the wisdom and messages that have been shared with our lives. We're so grateful for Reverend Sharon and all of those participants today. We are grateful for the love that we have and for all that has been shared. We ask that we will be mindful this week to use this wisdom in our lives, and we will open ourselves to the divine guidance and presence that is within us, and to use our affirmations daily to help us to live a more God-like life. And we say these things in the name of the Lord God within us all. Amen.
Amen. That was great. Thank you, Eileen. You know, you could be a chaplain.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know what? I was tempted to say along the way, and I wish this would happen on Sunday mornings. Amen. Amen. Praise
Amen.
God from the congregation. You know, like they do in African churches, African American, or those charismatic churches.
Yeah.
A little participation from the crowd. Anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much for being here today. I'll see you next week, same time, same station. Bye.
Bye.
You know.
That's good. Gosh.
Let it. Now it should.
Come on.
I want to leave the meeting.